Ohana means family, which means no one is forgotten or left behind.
While listening to this episode of the Retro Rewind podcast.
Reflux capacitor, fluxing, crew to stations. Scanning for Lilo and Stitch, 2002. Prepare to rewind in 3, 2, 1.
Welcome, Rewinders and new listeners, to the Retro Rewind podcast, where we take a fresh look at movies and games from 15 or more years ago. I am your captain of the pod, Francisco Ruiz, and I'm joined by your XO and mine, Paul, the Master Interrupter, Alien Powers.
Hello, Ohana family.
Hello, Honda family, to you, Paul. And also for this discussion of the film Lilo and Stitch, we welcome aboard for the first for his first outing on the pod, host of the Mountain Nerds podcast, Caleb Ardoin. Am I saying that right, Caleb? I should have asked.
Not close, but good enough. Good enough.
Ardoin.
I'm from South Louisiana, so originally.
Okay.
Is it Creole?
Caleb Ardoin. Welcome, Caleb.
Like a pirate.
Ardoin.
Sure.
Caleb, glad you're here. In addition to Caleb, we have back a historian officer of the pod, Celeste Mora. Hey, Celeste.
Hello.
Hello. And now that you have a quick flyby of who we all are, Paul, can you give us a quick overview of production specs for Lilo and Stitch?
Yes, Leroy and Stitch is an hour and 13 minutes. It was released 2006.
That's a different movie.
Paul,
June 23rd, 2000. Yes.
That's not the right
You
movie.
didn't say, Leroy and Stitch.
Lilo and Stitch.
Oh, the first one or the TV series? Before
The
I say
first
the
one.
Okay. Thought maybe we're doing the TV series.
I mean, maybe, you know what? Actually, now that I think about it, let's go and just do Leroy and Stitch. I'm sure
Right.
that might be better than
Leroy and Stitch. It runs
I'm
an hour and
Lilo and
13
Stitch, Paul.
minutes.
Go for Lilo and
All
Stitch.
right. Lilo and Stitch was released in theaters June 16th, the year 2002. It's even longer. It runs an hour and a half and is rated PG. It was directed by Dean DeBlois, or I don't know, they might be from Southern Louisiana or something too. and Chris Sanders. It was also written by Chris Sanders. I love that they have a title that says based on the idea by Chris Sanders.
Right.
You didn't say based on a true story. That'd be a little bit more concerned.
Well, we don't know. And also Dean DeBois Blouse, I don't know, sorry, was also written by that person.
Wow.
With the lead stars being Dave Chase, and Tia Carrera. And my dog Bentley says hello. The music
Hello, Bentley.
The music was composed by Alan Silvestri with the help of my dog. And
Obey my dog.
yeah, are you ready for some box office trivia?
I am ready. Caleb and Celeste, are you ready for some box office trivia?
I am.
Yes.
And chat, feel free to join in. Go for it, Paul.
Okay. Lilo and Stitch was made for about $80 million and earned about $250 million in the box office, not adjusted for inflation. So good job.
Not adjusted for inflation. Okay.
All right, given this and the fact that it was released theatrically in 2002, how high in the box office do you think it ranks among the other movies released in 2002? We'll go for the top 50.
Huh. Top 50. Okay. Caleb, what is your gift? What is your guess for in the top 50 where it ranked for 2002 movies?
I would probably say 20s. Probably 22.
22. All right. How about you, Celeste?
I'm going to say 15.
15. Okay. I mean, I want to lowball this, but I also want to win. I'm at odds with myself.
It is Disney.
Yeah. I'm going to go for 13. My favorite number 13. In chat, we have 6 from Neko. D. Tungsten says 7. I think those are the only guesses so far. So, Paul, where did it end up
actually
ranking?
At 17.
Oh, 17. So, Celeste, you get that. Good job.
You win.
And you
What do I win?
Double the prize you got last time.
Woohoo!
Much glory on the pod. How about that? Is
That
that
works.
worth something?
That works.
But thank you for those factoids, Paul. And let's see if any of them factor into our memory mind meld or subsequent roundtable discussion, which we'll get into once Alice has located our target film.
Alert! Alert! Approaching target. Spoilers incoming. Establishing analysis vector.
Alien lost.
Stitch. Lost.
Paradise found.
How?
Walt Disney Pictures presents
You sure it's a dog?
I think it might be a koala.
a story of friendship, family, and finding your place in the universe.
Ohana.
Huh?
Ohana means nobody.
gets left behind.
So you're from outer space. I heard the Serpent's Choice.
Disney's Lilo and Stitch.
You ain't nothing but a hound.
Rated PG. In theaters June 21st.
Yeah, you may be nothing but a hound dog, but what memories were hounding us as we prepared to watch Lilo and Stitch? Let's find out in our memory mind meld synopsis for this film. Alien Stitch escapes police spaceship. Lilo and her sister speak with the caseworker Cobra Bubbles about Lilo's guardianship. Alien Stitch, Project 616, befriends disobedient child Lilo. Ohana means family. Through the power of love and Elvis, Lilo shows Stitch that he is worthy of love and doesn't have to be evil. Meanwhile, Plinky and Gumba try to capture Stitch. Stitch teaches Lilo that she is just fine the way she is. Finally, a big battle with the spaceships, and Cobra Bubbles is really a CIA agent and not a caseworker. Alien police arrest Stitch and take him away, and with photo montages. A lot of that was actually pretty accurate, but some of it was deceptive. I think Bubbles was actually a caseworker. He just formally was part of the CIA, and so anyway, that's okay. That we didn't get our memories quite right, but as flawed as they were, what was your prediction for this film before you rewatched it? Classic, nostalgic, or tragic? Celeste, what was your prediction?
I predicted classic.
Okay. Caleb, what was your prediction?
Nostalgic.
Paul, what was your prediction?
Tiny bubbles. Oh, nostalgic.
And my prediction was tragic.
And no one is surprised.
Really?
What?
Now there's
Okay, well, whatever, guys. You know what? Fine. Why don't we get into the things that, there were some things I liked about this film. So who knows? Maybe it will turn out to be a unanimous classic by the end. But before
happened before.
It has happened before. We're getting ahead of ourselves, though. Let's talk about the things we liked most about Lilo and Stitch. Let's boot up our
Best 3.
or best 2 in this case, since we have 2 awesome guessos. So, Caleb, I'm going to start with you. What's one thing you liked about Lilo and Stitch?
Yeah, I like the. It's hard for me to pick my favorite because there was a lot of things that I liked.
So,
but ultimately,
not your
my
favorite.
Okay.
Save your favorite.
I'm gonna save my
but
favorite.
One
then.
thing you liked.
I will say
Exactly.
just the characters in the movie. I really enjoyed. It was a really wide variety of characters, and they were fun. They were really fun.
Yeah.
With the different aliens, and then your human characters as well, and of course Lilo and Stitch were just really fun counterparts to each other. So that was I just like that.
Yeah, they had a wide variety.
Yeah,
and it wasn't just like 2-dimensional, 1-dimensional. Well, it was 2-dimensional animation. But I like the characters. The history. It seems like each one was kind of like had their own history and stuff, and you could tell that.
So did that make your like list as well, Paul?
No,
then?
I'm just
adding on to
helping Caleb, agreeing with him and saying, yeah, he's right.
Sure, guys. Well, then what?
And Francisco's wrong.
What was
Good
one
job,
thing you
Caleb.
liked, Paul?
I really enjoyed the character design by Chris Sanders. He's an artist, and the styles of these characters. So it was great to watch them move and come to life, quote unquote.
I will say the character design for Stitch is pretty unique. I
Yes.
still don't know how anyone would think that's a dog, but I feel like it was a unique take on an alien, which I appreciate.
I don't
for sure.
see how people think he's toothless from How to Train Your Dragon. It was designed by the same person, but they both have the wide mouth and the big eyes, but they're totally different.
Yeah. Oh, I had never heard that, but
They have a similar outline, except for Stitch's ears are bigger.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
And he has 6 arms or legs or whatever they're called.
Yeah.
well,
that's
but
true.
he sucks 2 of those in.
Yeah.
That's
and he
true.
has a big tail that's broken and flies around. Oh, wait, no.
Wrong one.
So that was wrong about Lilo and Stitch. Celeste, why don't you tell us something that is right for you about this film?
So I really enjoyed the music.
Yeah.
So I love Elvis anyway. So
Oh, cool. Nice.
like the fact that they included Elvis music and put that
Yes.
little caveat to Lilo's character was funny to me. But then just the overall music was great.
By Alan Silvestri, you mean the score, or are you talking about the Elvis music throughout?
All of it.
Oh, okay, both. Cool.
So
Nice.
the score, the music, the Hawaiian roller coaster ride will get stuck in your head for weeks.
Yeah, I love that one.
Hawaiian roller coaster ride?
Yes.
I'm not recalling it. But okay. Yeah. I mean, yeah, it got stuck in my head for weeks. I'm sure I'm hearing it right now, in fact.
We were
The one I was
literally playing it earlier.
Before we started recording.
Anyway,
Did you watch this movie?
You like the music? Yes, I watched it.
Just want to make sure.
Over the course of 3 days. Okay. So something I liked about
Sorry, man, I have to
this
dog you a little bit. I know
movie-
it's your show, but
That's fine.
Do it.
Everyone else does it. Just pile on. Why not?
Yeah, my dog says it too.
well, guys, this was my first
dogpiling,
and last
literally.
appearance on the show. But
Something I enjoyed about this film was I liked David. I really enjoyed his character. You guys said you liked a lot of the characters. I thought David was the one character I wanted to root for. I
Is
would
he
have
the
liked
guy
to have
that
seen
burned
more
himself?
of him in this. Yeah, the
Yes.
guy who burned himself. Except for his one silly line that says, I hear the waves in space are choice. I'm like, what are you talking about? There's the waves in space? But
Self
okay, whatever.
surfers talk sometimes. Just trying to connect.
guess. Okay, fine. But I appreciate his character. Would have liked to have seen more of David. But with that, let's get into the things we loved most about Lilo and Stitch. And I'm going to go to Leslie this time.
Okay. So my classic maker is the attention that Disney put to the cultural aspects of things.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I like
Like
the Hawaiian dances at the beginning. Yeah.
Right? They put and there's a lot of subtle things, like certain lines that if you don't know and understand certain Hawaiian
Like
culture
Ohana.
references. Yeah, like Ohana. When Lilo put the flowers on the lei on Stitch and he just kind of like, boom. It wasn't
Yeah.
that it was.
What was about that?
It was.
Why did that happen?
This is not confirmed. This is a theory online, but the theory is that leis symbolize they're like the personification of aloha, which is family, love, whatever. And so the idea was that she's like literally going, "Look, I love you," and he goes, "Blunk, I don't know how to handle this."
Too much love.
It may just be people reading into it, but it's an interesting thing.
Yeah, okay.
So there's
That's
a couple
cool.
of other things in there, but that was the easiest example in my brain at the moment.
Okay, nice. I like it. So just the cultural element that they bring to this film that was much better done in Moana. Yeah, I totally agree with you. Celeste.
Easy.
Different culture.
Okay.
Different culture.
They're both
Yeah.
Polynesian, though, kind of. I think they're both
One's
Polynesian.
Hawaiian and the other one's Hawaiian. What are you talking about?
Anyway, Caleb, what was your classic maker? Did it have to do with the cultural aspect of this as well, or maybe the alien cultural aspect of this film?
not.
Where
It
the
was-
waves are choice.
It was the general. It was the general theme of family, and having that sense of
okay.
belonging.
Yeah.
Like this movie, just like rewatching it for me is like a long time ago when I watched it, I came from a family that's divorced, and kind of split up and broken up. And so having that, like, kind of no one gets left behind, as a kid, when you're divorced, when you're a kid and you go through that, your parents go through that, you feel kind of alone and you feel like you're left behind. Yeah. And so when I was a kid, I watched this, it kind of like, oh, well, like that's what I want. And now as an adult who has children in I have foster children. And that's my family, and so rewatching this kind of was like, wow, that's, for me, it just kind of really makes you feel good. Especially there was parts of the film that really, like, with the caseworker thing, I know exactly how that is because I go through that. And so some of those
Were
elements,
any of that tough?
Yeah, some of them aren't actually really that tough. And
really?
It's
oh wow.
Do their fingers say Cobra?
It's I didn't have Cobra Bubbles, but actually I would love a Cobra Bubbles caseworker.
Wasn't that amazing? That looked just like Ving Rhames, the actor who voiced it, with the sunglasses.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's why I recognize his voice.
I googled
okay,
him after, and I was
you.
like, "Oh, that voice sounds familiar."
Yeah,
but I really love that theme. It's like it's real personal to me. So
yeah,
absolutely,
it's a great way how they show the characters connect. Yeah.
Yes, totally. And that really goes into my classic maker, which I like the concept, and I'll stress the concept of an alien outcast finding a home with a girl that also felt like an outcast and creating this family.
Love E.T.
I thought that was a great concept. Again, a good concept, Paul.
It's a great movie. I agree. Okay.
So that is my classic maker. Paul, why don't you cap us off here? What did you love most about Lilo and Stitch?
Was E.T. So my classic maker is very subtle. And I'm a sucker for 2D animation that's done really well, and this is a great example.
Yeah.
So I
totally.
love
I will agree
just
with that,
to
yes.
watch the lines and colors move. It's fantastic.
Very, very cool.
What?
Darn it. That's something else that's fantastic that I totally forgot to mention about. No,
Cool.
Geek Devotions. Geek Devotions is a collaboration of devoted geeks that are devoted to letting people know that they are loved. They produce a weekly geek culture-infused devotional, their podcast Com Talk, and written articles, all designed to encourage and challenge people in the geek community, bridging the gap between their faith and their geekdoms. Find all their content at geekdevotions.com. And me and Paul actually just did a geek devotion on Vampire D Bloodlust recently, so go check that out as well.
Y'all finished up our Fangtober.
Oh yes, for your Fangtober series on vampires and stuff, and that.
So everyone go check that out.
Very cool.
But what does that have to do with Lilo and Stitch?
Well, see, Lilo was sucking the resources dry. Stitch was sucking the resources dry of Lilo.
My dog's not believing you.
And her.
Well, they did say that Nani's boss was a vampire.
Oh, yeah. That's the connection.
Okay, my dog says that's okay.
Okay, that's good. Would your dog also like to hear some trivia about Lilo and Stitch?
Definitely.
All right.
Definite.
And my apologies for not letting you guys know this ahead of time, but hopefully we'll roll with this okay.
Yeah.
So, did you all realize that the name Lilo means generous one, and its origin is Hawaiian? If that makes sense.
What I noticed is that Nani means what in Japanese? To her sister every time.
I know. I can say Nani. But it can back to Lilo, it can also be interpreted as lost, and this would give the song title Himele no Lilo a loose translation as Lullaby of the Lost. The name Nani in Hawaiian means beautiful.
What? No, that's Japanese. Sorry.
But I am curious, do you all know what your first names or last names mean? Like, what's the etymology of them?
Go for it,
Caleb?
Celeste.
Go for it, Celeste.
Okay. So Celeste means heavenly. My middle name means abounding joy. And then
cool.
Mora means blackberry.
So your name means heavenly, abounding, joyous blackberry.
Yes. I'm a happy blackberry or a blueberry. It can go either way.
Nice.
How about you, Caleb?
Yeah, mine is, I believe it's bold one. So one that's
Nice.
bold.
Bold one. Oh,
My
nice.
last name,
Very
Artwin,
cool.
comes from an old Cajun word that means we don't know how to pronounce your last name. So that's what.
That's most of Louisiana.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Paul, how about yourself?
Yeah, Paul means small, and my middle name John means toilet. So I'm a small toilet, and
I don't think John actually means
I know.
toilet.
I watched Robin Hood Men in Tights. They confirmed it, and
oh my gosh! Oh yeah, that documentary,
yeah.
Robin Hood Man in Tights.
Powers is
So-
actually a very long derivative of the word poor. So small,
Really?
poor toilet.
So
Wow.
the have you seen the toilets that are like in third world countries where you have to like squat over
Yeah,
them?
they have them in first world, like Japan. It still has. And in
Your name means a squatty potty?
wow, I have to go home and rethink my life.
Wow.
I love you, Paul.
Love you too.
My word. And I thought I was getting the heat.
Is that it? Do you want to tell us what Francisco means?
Sure, I can.
Sure.
We're
I'm waiting for you to
intrigued
say
now.
great trivia, Francisco, but that's
Well,
fine.
you know,
I'll
I
say
like to
Francisco.
keep things on the edge for you because you.
You sure do. Francisco is kind of boring. It just means Frenchman.
Saint Frenchman?
And then Ruiz, no, just Frenchman. That'd be Saint Francisco.
Oh, that would be
Paul.
San Francisco. Okay, that's what I'm thinking. Okay.
That'd be San Francisco, yes. No,
It's a treat.
Francisco just means Frenchman. And Ruiz is like just a derivative of some like old noble family or something. It's not really, doesn't really mean
Did
anything.
they create some orange
from
and
what I
yellow
could-
candies in the E.T. movie, the Reese's Pieces? No.
Yeah,
Is that
yeah,
why
yeah.
you like that?
I'm
That's why
actually,
you hate that movie, because they didn't give you your cut, right?
yeah, exactly. See, it's all coming
All right.
together here on the Lilo and Stitch episode.
Great trivia, Francisco. You want to keep moving on?
Thanks, Paul.
And now that we've all had
Yes,
some fun
please.
trivia, let's find out what memories you, our awesome rewinders, actually, you're rad rewinders had about Lilo and Stitch.
So James Felix opens up with Lilo says, did you lose? Oh, no, that's Lilo's the girl. Did you lose your job because of Stitch and me? Nani says, nah, the manager's a vampire. He wanted me to join his Legion of the Undead. Lilo, I knew it.
Are you going to quote the whole movie?
That's what James quoted. What do you want from me?
Okay. Drew Dodgen says, that poor man never got to eat his ice cream.
Never did.
No, he didn't. Steve Hamilton says, just that it makes me want to go back to Hawaii and Elvis.
And Alex Ortiz leaves us off with saying, it's a super sad movie. If you don't know why, that just means you have to watch it again.
Does it, though?
Yeah,
And
we'll talk about why.
as great as Elvis the King is, let's talk about the things that make Lilo and Stitch quite a bit beneath royalty. Let's spin a power.
Worst 3.
Or worse, 2 in this case. And I'm going to kick things off because I'm reared to go.
Oh no.
So the thing I mentioned before that David I really liked. I liked none of the characters in this besides David. Oh
What?
my goodness. They all had their little moments of sweetness, but that might as well have just been like, you know, sugar to help the arsenic go down or something. I just could not connect with any of these characters. Not any of them, except for small blips along the way, except for David. So, yeah, I don't know what you guys are talking
Hey,
about with
you couldn't even connect with
fun characters.
Captain Gantu either because he was also really salty. And I'm feeling a lot of salt.
You know
coming
what?
from-
Honestly, I did like Gantu because he's trying to follow the rules,
Yeah.
do what he's told, and then he gets punished at the end. What the junk, Disney? Whatever.
Wait, Gantu
So,
was the twerpy one, right?
No,
No,
he is
he's-
the big shark-looking guy. That's a giant.
Yeah. He's the doctor.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's see. So that was something I didn't like. Let's go to Paul next. What's something you didn't like about this film? Ha
Um, sorry, I have so many here. I'm trying to, okay. This is a little quibble, but,
Okay. what's
her name? Lilo is trying to hide from Nani, and I got the I was lucky enough to get the Blu-ray before they made changes, and she hides in the dryer, and then Disney changed it from a dryer to like a cupboard with a pizza box cover. So
oh really?
That scene is the scene I'm talking about. But Nani climbs on top of the cupboard or the dryer.
Yeah.
And Lilo can't hear her. I mean, if you're going to hear anything, you're going to hear that above else. If someone's stomping on whatever you're hiding under. So
that's fair.
It doesn't make. There's moments that kind of don't make sense, even with like space alien stuff. But that one was very egregious as an example.
All right. I mean, I didn't notice that, but yes, I will throw my lot in with that as another example of horribleness about this film. Let's go to Caleb next. What's something you didn't like about this film?
I'll jump back since we talked about Captain Gantu. I didn't really like his role within the film. Just because he was. It was not that I didn't like he was. I say he was a great villain, but the thing about it is he only was in the movie for like barely part of it. He really wasn't built up to be this like big villain character, but then he was. It was super awkward the way
he was a villain. I didn't think of him as a villain.
I don't know.
He's just doing his job, Caleb.
Hey, he was in the film for like maybe 20 minutes, maybe like the beginning, and then he came in like right towards the end. They didn't really give him any kind of anything. I would like to have seen more with his character.
That's true. He's a great character that needed more screen time.
He did not get enough.
I think he got more screen time in the series.
Him and David should do a buddy cop show in this universe. I'd totally watch that.
At least an episode.
But if anyone's the villain, it's the head matron gal who's like, go do this. Oh, you failed. You go do this. Oh, you failed.
Oh, she's just doing her job because she has to answer to a council.
Whatever. Celeste, what's something you didn't like? Was it Gantu? Was it any characters particularly, or something else?
It was one particular instance where when David comes and tells Nani that there's a job, she leaves Lilo.
Yeah.
Like, you know that Bubbles is coming.
The fire department's going to call.
No, not the fire department. You know that Bubbles is coming. You know that that's a big no-no, even if it is just up the street. Like, why are you going to leave the kid? Take her with you.
Yeah, I can't do that in foster care.
No.
Yeah, exactly.
No, you can't. And so it seemed very counter to what she had been striving to do, because up until that point, with the exception of, the whole fighting and telling Lilo she wished she wasn't there thing, she was doing a pretty good job of being a parent in a situation where she shouldn't have had to have been.
Yeah.
Well, is that just them showing that she's a flawed character? Like, we all make decisions that we shouldn't do, even we know we shouldn't do, and sometimes we still do it.
Maybe, but I also feel like they showed that she was responsible enough to have not done that.
That's true. It didn't follow
what they had already built up for her.
Yeah, I'll agree with that.
Okay, that's fair. Well, maybe you guys can help elucidate me about something then.
If I knew what that word meant.
Make clear to me. Make something complex clear to me, Paul. That's what.
Okay.
Yes. No, we're opaque. Now we're clear. I'm curious if you got that line. I was gonna let listeners at home. It. Jeez, you're the master interrupter, not the master ruiner, Paul. Stay in your lane.
That's your tragic maker right there.
I'm curious if this has to do with any of your tragic makers. Speak up. I did not understand why Lilo was so at odds with not wanting to let her sister help take care of her. Did she just hate her sister? Did she not want to be there? Did she want to go into the foster system? It did not. I had no idea. There was nothing to help me figure out why she was boarding herself into the house and making it so hard on her sister.
It's from, and this is, we're getting to kind of a serious note here, but in being going through that system and stuff, kids do have that mindset where they're just kind of trying to live their life, be kids. And not that she was trying to, just kind of watching this in my mind, not that she was trying to be resistant or not trying to, but I think, when kids are taken out of a situation, or in this case, they lose their parents, they lose their support system,
their foundation.
They feel kind of like lost in a way, and they feel kind of helpless. And in this case, Lilo was just trying to find, in my opinion, she was trying to find that, fill that gap. So it's not that she was just trying to be like, I don't care. It's more or less in my head that she was just trying to find that happiness that she was trying to seek.
Right.
Did you see the beginning? I felt like she didn't care, but all right. I guess
you also have to take into account.
That's a fair observation, Caleb. Go ahead, Celeste.
You also have to take into account, we don't know how old Lilo is. And we also don't...
Like
she's
7.
Between the ages of 4 and 11.
Yes.
I was actually kind of curious how old Nani was,
She's
too.
the ages between 4 and 40.
I think she'd have to at least be 18 to be a guardian.
Yeah, she'd have to be at least 18. But kids process grief differently. We don't know how close to losing their parents they were. She makes mention several times, and this is not something I picked up on when I was a kid, but rewatching this, I did. At one point, she goes, "Everyone looks at me differently now." Yeah. And so that to me says that it was a more recent thing. So she's processing her emotions when she doesn't have the skill set to do so, which means she's going to do things that don't make sense.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right.
And
doesn't mean I have to like it, but all right, fair.
I'll leave you with this Bible verse, is Proverbs 22:15. And remember this, Francisco, that foolishness is bound in the heart of a child. That's right. So why does she do foolish things?
Because he's a child.
Yes.
All right. Fair enough, Paul. Jesus juking me already. All right.
Gosh, Francisco, let her grieve. Come on, man.
Let her destroy the house. What's wrong with you?
She can grieve in obedience. Why is that so out there as a concept?
Trying to be happy.
Let's get into our tragic makers, the things we hated about this film. And I sort of spoke to mine already, honestly, so I'll just sort of loop it back and say, I don't get why Gantu was fired at the end, because, he's just doing his job. He made one mistake and they fire him for it. I think that's a little ridiculous, especially when this gal is she's the one that's assigning these people to go do the things, and she keeps assigning people that are incompetent. She should get fired, but whatever. That's my tragic maker. Celeste, what's yours?
Just going to talk on your tragic maker for just a minute.
Go for it. Go for it.
Just a second. It could be that because we've already stated that the head lady had to answer to a council, and they put a human in danger on a protected planet. So it could be she was doing that preemptively to save her own butt.
All right, that's fair. Like I'll throw you under the bus so that I don't get the heat. Okay. Well, that makes sense.
And good example is there are certain things in my line of work where if you do this, you're pretty much just going to need to go start packing your stuff up. And one of them I've seen happen is there was a test that needed to be done on somebody. They called the wrong patient, verified the wrong name and date of birth, gave the patient basically the equivalent of 4 Snickers.
Nice.
For a test to test how your body processes
Sounds
sugar.
like Halloween to me.
Yeah, right. And then drew the blood on the wrong patient.
That's not Halloween. Well, for some people,
that's one of those things. If the patient had been sensitive to sugar, that could have seriously injured them. That is an immediate fire offense. So to me, it's the same thing. They put a human in danger. They get fired.
Wait, I'm so confused. They asked, hey, is this your name? And the person said, oh, yeah, that's my name. And it wasn't their name?
They said no. And he's like, I don't care. Moving on.
Or they went, hey, so-and-so, come back. And the wrong person misheard, stood up, and they didn't verify anything else.
Okay.
The rest of that's still sketchy.
Okay. That's fair, though.
My tragic maker, though, Paul actually touched on this, is that they changed the dryer to a cabinet with the pizza thing. And it's not so much that they changed it, although that is annoying. It's more a matter of they didn't consistently change it.
Meaning?
Oh, is it a dryer in other scenes?
When you first see it, it's the cabinet with the pizza box. when you see it later in that same room, like it's a cabinet beside a washer. And then later, when you see the washer, there is a dryer.
It's because they were trying to feng shui the room. They had to keep moving furniture, and then just that other scene, they just moved it back.
No.
That explains it.
Looks better.
If you're going to go through the difficulty of changing something like that, be consistent.
They did a good job of changing it. Like, it looks like it's supposed to be part of that scene. It's not like one of those, like, oh, this is a cut and paste job. It's like they reanimated it.
No.
It looks good.
It looked great. It's just they dropped it off. They forgot that dryer was in the scene later. And that somebody's going to go, oh, look, that's a thing.
Maybe it's a wink back to the audience who remember it from before. Maybe. I don't know.
Well, you know what? This just goes. And so, speaking of consistency, Celeste, don't me, Paul. I mean, we were saying how you guys are making very valid reasons why Lilo was grieving the way she was. So it's consistent that a girl that is sort of like not thinking very rationally would go into a dryer. So now you're taking away her agency of disobedience by sticking her in a cabinet. So which is it going to be? Which is it going to be, Disney? Have it be obedient child or don't? Pick a lane here. Thank you. Good night.
I like Elaine too.
Get out. Shove. Let's go to Caleb for your tragic maker.
I felt that there were parts. The length of the movie was fine, perfect, but I think there were some parts that were kind of like rushed. It felt like some things that they should have explored more of. Like, once again, the Gantu thing. Like, they should have kind of dove more into his character. There were some parts where it's like, I was watching and I was like, so Stitch was bad and then he's all of a sudden kind of good. Like, that went too fast to me. They didn't build that up enough where it should have been a more, I guess, better process there. I don't know, something should have happened to Lilo and then Stitch would have been all right, and kind of started changing that way. It was just like this whole
triggered it.
There was just, I don't know. It was like, oh, I'm good now. Like, it was weird. Yeah,
it's almost like
in that
there
sense.
should be some sort of save the cat moment with Stitch is what I think I'm hearing.
Yeah,
from
some sort of moment that where he
And then I want to see more Cobra Bubbles, man. Like, that's just...
he was, yeah.
Oh, put him with your buddy cop movie, the three of them.
yes. David Gantu and Bubbles on the road, solving crimes in a future time.
And surfing the waves in space.
Oh, my. Well, then that leaves... Paul, what is your tragic maker for Lilo and Stitch?
This, I think, is maybe just applies to me because I've talked about it with other people and they don't really see it that way. But for some reason, towards the beginning, when Lilo, little girl, punches the redhead girl in the face, that really disturbs me. Like, like, for some reason, I find it more horrifying than like a Rocky movie where they're just pummeling each other. I don't know why, but it's really, I don't know, maybe it's the way it's done or something. It's just really disturbing to see a cute little child punch another cute little child in the face. Well, and everybody seems to be like
children in the face when you were a kid.
Yeah, no. And maybe it's
you didn't punch little girls in the face, Paul, when you were a kid. Come on.
That's what I missed out on life, and so it just really bothers me. And to a point where it's very disturbing to me.
See, for me, I think it would have made more sense if that came later because the redhead is very mean to her throughout. So it's not earned by that point, though. That
I don't think it's earned later, but that's me.
I mean, it makes more sense later. It's certainly not a good thing to have happen, but there isn't enough of that built up resentment that the audience has been developing for that girl to make it at least somewhat justifiable why Lilo would do that.
I understand kids fight, and you could you could still have Lilo punch her and like get in a fight, but don't show it. Turn the backs or something. I don't want to see it.
Okay, that's fair.
At the same time, it in my opinion, it seems like it could have been like, all right, we're showing this because Lilo's angry. She has built up.
Oh, and kids
you lost your parents. You're angry.
I understand. It's just for me personally, It bothers me way, and I think about it for days. Like it's
wow.
So,
okay.
Paul, first rule
Totally
about
fair.
Fight Club: you don't talk about Fight Club. So.
Yeah. I didn't hear that because I'm not supposed to talk about that.
I don't remember what the little redheaded girl said, but all I know is that when Lilo went to punch her, I was like, yeah, get her. Like, whatever it was, it made me go, ooh, you deserve that.
Oh, we're on two different sides of the camp. All right.
Apparently. Now let's see what sides of the camp we are on when it comes to our final reign for Lilo and Stitch. Alice?
Francisco's heart changed 3 sizes?
Firing solution complete. Rating salvo at the ready. On your mark.
Do we rate Lilo and Stitch a classic? We'd recommend anyone go see this film, whether or not they've seen it before. A nostalgic, it's worth your time to rewatch if you enjoyed it as a kid or a young adult. Definitely go back, revisit it, enjoy those nostalgic memories. But if you've never seen it, watch another film. Or is it a tragic? We'd recommend no one go see this. If you haven't seen it before, keep it that way. If you have seen it before and have fond memories, don't sully those memories with a rewatch. Let's start with our newest guest. Caleb, what is your final reign, classic, nostalgic, or tragic for Lilo and Stitch?
I went classic. After watching it,
After predicting nostalgic, you went classic.
I went classic.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Oh, did you maybe you confuse what I said? So classic is things you want other people to watch.
Yeah.
Tragic
people need
is
to
what
watch
you
Lilo and
say people
Stitch.
should
I want
watch.
my kids to watch Lilo and Stitch. So
No, I
Learn
don't
how
think
to
you're
stand up for
understanding
yourself.
this.
How to burn down the house.
Oh,
Yes.
my word. All right. So classic from
Classic.
Caleb after your nostalgic prediction. Leslie, you predicted classic. What did your final rating turn out to be?
I give it a final rating of classic because I think this is one of the best movies that Disney's done.
Wow, did you hear that, Francisco?
Like
I heard Paul.
it's one of my favorites. I will legitimately, it's probably been about a year since I've watched it, but I will put this on as an adult and listen to it while I'm doing other things.
Oh, this is
okay.
where you made the mistake, Francisco. You invited the wrong people. No, you invited the right people.
Okay, but did you rate this the right rating, Paul? You predicted
Yes.
nostalgic. What
And
was your final rating?
My final rating is nostalgic.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, if you enjoyed it, or if you're an animation buff like I am, go check it out. But I wouldn't say, like, if you haven't seen it, wouldn't say it's like, oh, you need to see this. So,
for me, so 2 classics is nostalgic. For me,
change of heart.
I would say that this movie, Lilo and Stitch, is a classic example of a tragic Disney movie. It is so bad. There's no reason to waste your time with this movie. Just get out of my face.
Guess, rebellious child.
Oh, that's just one. And a rebellious alien. It's just...
He's a child. He's brand new. He's actually younger than Lilo.
Okay, great. Then another disobedient child. Fine. Oh, this movie. So according to the Retro Rewind podcast, we rate Lilo and Stitch a disputed classic film. We recommend anyone go watch this, whether or not you've seen it before. So now we're getting something in. Hold on, real quick.
Right.
We're getting a message. And what is this, Alice? What's happening now?
Jacob, Retro Rewind podcast just rated Lilo and Stitch a classic. What are your thoughts on that?
Okitabaku bacha.
This is a family show. You don't need to be saying that on their podcast.
I said it's okay. Let's go. It was great.
Okay. I apologize.
Hey, be like, you got to understand my language, man.
Well, I'm sorry. I apologize. Of course, the only way I can imagine we got to this point is either Francisco missed the episode somehow, or perhaps he finally learned the joy of Disney, or at least this might be one of the few Disney films that's gotten through his filter.
Nope.
So yeah, I mean, this is obviously, we obviously thought this was a classic film.
absolutely.
And if you want to hear us go into more detail about those thoughts, way back on our episode dated August 29th of 2020, we did Lilo and Stitch. # release it, you cowards!
All right.
That's great, Drew and Jacob.
Who was that?
Drew and Jacob from the Cellcast, another member of Culture Box Media Network.
I knew that.
I know you know that, and you're asking for everyone else. I appreciate that, Paul. Apparently, they don't have good taste either, but that's okay. I'm Kane. We love Drew and Jacob. Thank you for calling in, guys. I don't know why you felt compelled to, but all right. Well, now that we have all entered, we already entered our final rating, but yes. It would be awesome to get back to our own time, good old 20XX.
20XX?
Comsat online. Receiving incoming transmission.
Ooh, feels good to be back, but we wouldn't have been able to travel back to 2002 to begin with if it weren't for our amazing reflux capacitors, namely Jared Holzhauer, Deborah Powers, Brian Keating, Patrick Hicks, LJ Lowry, Chris Cowan, Chris Owens, Geek Devotions, you're right here, The Untold Podcast, James Kennison, Drew of the Cellcast, Ashley Cronenbitter, Pastor Dewson, Kenneth N, Redeemed Otaku, That's Our Babo, Josh Adams, D Tungsten, Andy Lewis, Jeff, The Dapper Man Reviews, Tony from the Retro Days, Mr. Lost, in addition to 10 other awesome patrons as well. Thank you all so much for keeping the gigawatts coming. And if you want to help us keep flying for as little as $1 a month and get bonus content for your generosity, head over to retrorewindpodcast.com/support to help us grow via Patreon, Subscribestar, or PayPal.
Sponsored by PaulJPowers.com.
And while we're thanking our supporters, we want to give a big galactic hug to our guests for coming and supporting us with their review and thoughts about Lilo and Stitch tonight. So we're going to do alphabetical order and start with Celeste. Thank you for coming. Where can people find you online? Or is there anything cool you got going on that people should know about?
So you can find me online over at Geek Devotions. The easiest way to find everything that we do with Geek Devotions is to go to geekdevotions.com. We have various and sundry things, such as website articles. We have Facebook Bible studies. We have Twitch streams. We just started a new podcast in addition to our other podcast called The Bottom Shelf, where we review critically acclaimed bad movies. I am not a part of that one regularly because I just can't.
Understood.
Just can't. I tried to make it through some things. Just couldn't.
I mean, but Celeste, you're here for this epically bad movie, so I'm confused.
I love this one. So, like, I will try to watch them, and if it's as bad as one particular movie, which I don't know if that episode's come out yet or not, and 30 minutes in, I looked at Dallas and went, I need ice cream. If I'm going to watch any more of this, I need ice cream. And then I finished the ice cream, and I went, I'm going to bed.
Nice. All right.
So that was my thoughts on the movie.
Nice.
But you can also find me over on Playing Games with Strangers. We are a family-friendly actual play D&D podcast. We keep things PG. We get a little more serious with some stuff. But
I was surprised this movie was PG. I saw that. I'm like, oh, interesting.
Yeah, we definitely deal with some heavy things, but you don't have to worry about profanity. You don't have to worry about situations that are a bit more risque.
But you bring the gore, right? We like monsters just getting lopped in half and stuff.
I mean, in the last session, somebody did get swallowed, and then spit back up.
Speaking of blood, I thought it was cool that Stitch had Klingon blood, like that Pepto-Bismol pink.
I thought that was fun.
Wait, he bled in this?
No, they took like some blood out of him with the syringe.
Oh, yeah. That's right. Okay.
All right. And we also, first of all, thanks again, Celeste, for joining us. So glad to have you again. And thank you, Caleb. Where can people find you online? Is there anything cool you got going on that people should know?
Yeah, you can find us on our various social medias, on Twitter at Nerds Mountain, on Facebook at Mountain Nerds Podcast, and on Instagram at Mountain Nerds Pod. I also stream on Sundays. I had to think for a second. I stream on Sundays. My times are kind of various. Kind of whenever my kids go to bed, I start streaming. It's usually Sunday evenings around between 7 and 8. Now, twice a month we do a space RPG, kind of like D&D as well. We are on our 4th campaign. It is family friendly. We do have a little bit of violence, but right now it's super silly, goofy, If you've ever seen any like space comedies, that's pretty much what it is. It's really, really fun. So we do that twice a month.
Oh, cool.
And we will be doing that in not this. Actually, we're not this week. Me and my wife are streaming a fun game, but the following we will be doing a new one. So I'm excited to get back to it. So.
And so, what's the Twitch channel for?
Oh, it's twitch.tv/Mountain Nerds.
Awesome. And by the time you're hearing this, dear listener, if you listen to this when it comes out, that should be coming. That episode on Caleb's Twitch should be coming out this coming Sunday.
Yeah, and you can also find us on various our various podcasting app of choice as well. We do a podcast as well. I can't believe I forgot about the podcast. That's like the main part that I do.
What's that?
Our podcast, you can find us on Spotify, Google Podcast, anything like that. Go give it a listen. We do really fun episodes. We do like some really goofy stuff. We do we've done an episode about fast food. We do episodes about interviewing other geeks with passions and hobbies, and it's fantastic. And we also I have been putting our space RPG on our podcast, so if you do miss an episode or two,
nice.
You can go back and re-listen to those. So yeah,
very cool. And we have a question from chat. D Tungstens asks, space comedy like Spaceballs, or like do you have a movie
Orville.
that you say is similar?
If you've ever seen the show The Orville, it's the same kind of like we're Christians, we're keep everything clean, but it's like goofy and stupid in that sort of way. So
gotcha.
It's really fun though.
Okay, very cool. Well, thank you so much, Caleb, for being on the show as well. Yeah. And thank you. Yeah, I want to say thank you again to Celeste and Caleb for joining us. And a hearty thanks to those of you listening for the first time. And of course, all of you who are part of the Rad Rewinder community. You all who watch us live every week, whether we are recording this podcast like right now or playing retro games, you're all an amazing group of people helping sustain the pod. But if you are looking for ways to get involved in growing this Retro Rewind endeavor, reach out to us on social media where we are at Retro Rewind Pod pretty much everywhere. You could buy some of our merch also. Maybe leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or Podchaser. Become a monthly patron, or simply just share your favorite episode of the podcast with a friend so that more people can enjoy the content of the Retro Rewind Pod.
Hold everything! Earth is a protected wildlife reserve. Yeah, we've been using it to rebuild the mosquito population, which, need I remind you, is an endangered species.
You have been listening to RetroRewindPodcast.com/236, our endangered species of this podcast. No, the review of Lilo and Stitch. With me, your XO, PaulJPowers.com. You can find me online and all my social media links at PaulJPowers.com.
Oh, wow. That's easy to remember. Thank you for being an awesome and amazing friend, Paul. It's so fun getting to do this voyage of the pod with you. I have been and continue to be the captain of the pod, Francisco Ruiz. Find me on Twitter at FXRetro_, especially if you need a pixel art work commissioned.
This podcast is a proud member of Culture Box, a curated collection of podcasts, videos, and articles that will provide you a balanced meal of content. You will find culture celebrated for its past and future, satirized for its extremes, explored in study, and created anew in story. Point your web browser to culturebox.media.
We are now part of the Culture Box Media Network. You can find all of the shows unpacking truth through story, comedy, and geekery at culturebox.media. And with that, Captain, we are on final approach to base. Hopefully it's not blown up by spaceships.
Hopefully not. Thank you, EXO, and thank you all for listening. We pray you're more joyful now than when you first hit play. But like a Pokemon, we gotta catch you all for Austin Powers, yeah, baby, our next episode of the Retro Rewind Podcast.
That's your Austin Powers in French?
Retro Rewind mission complete. Proceed to nav point Omega and return to base.
Aloha!
Well, things can't always be the way you want them to be.
but sometimes they are. With young Indiana Jones!
Then it is something that man was not meant to disturb. Trust me.
Are you making this up as you go along?
Yeah?
You don't believe me. You will, Dr. Jones. Mission accomplished. Full throttle. No break. Those people are trying to kill us. I know, Dad! It's a new experience for me. Happens to me all the time.
Welcome to our 20th chapter installment of Young Indiana Jones Chronicle Adventures, or something like that. Where we're going.
Adventures of Young Indiana Jones. How many times we got to go through this?
Apparently, at least 20, if not more. We are reviewing each episode in between our main movie reviews of the only three Indiana Jones movies, which we'll be ending here this coming December Christmas with The Last Crusade and The Last Young Indiana Jones Adventure. But Paul, why don't you give us the technicals for this adventure, chapter 20?
Chapter 20 of the Young Indiana Jones. Or sorry, now you got me all mixed up. The Adventures of Young Indiana Jones, yes. Chapter 20, titled Mystery of the Blues. It was first released as part of the second season on March 13th, 1993. And unlike other chapters we reviewed, this is a one-shot that was all together. It wasn't 2 episodes into one, although it did feel like it. So you want to give us, try to give us the in one sentence?
Synopsis? Yeah. So we find out that Indy loved jazz music and learned to play a soprano sax, and then had to figure out a mystery with Not Quite Human to figure out that Capone killed a restaurateur.
Although it wasn't actually decided it was Capone, there wasn't enough evidence, right?
I thought, but they said that's who it was.
That's
and then he gets off scot-free.
Yeah.
What a great climax.
Yeah. Oh, we're not there yet. Sorry.
No, not yet. So that's what this episode was about. High adventure. But let's start with things we did like about this episode. Caleb, first, before we start, have you ever seen Young Indiana Jones before?
No, this was my first encounter with the show. I didn't even know it existed.
Wow, this is
you guys were like, go watch it. And I was like, oh, check this out.
I was about to say, this, if you were to see one episode, this is one of the ones to watch because it's the only one to feature Harrison Ford briefly.
That's true. So what was one thing you liked about this episode, Caleb?
I liked that we got that little backstory of his love of jazz music. Like, that was, to me, it was interesting. It was one little character trait that Indiana has that you would have really never picked up anywhere else. It was fun. I really
like they
enjoyed
made it up out of thin air. Yeah.
It's like it just randomly existed.
What are you talking about? He said how he loved it the whole time and went to all those clubs forever.
When he was running from the giant boulder, he was just, that's what he was thinking of. He was just playing in his head.
Exactly.
Did you guys not catch that?
No. I guess I somehow missed how the George Miller Band was just playing in his head. Actually, that come later. Never mind. My bad. That's more of like World War II, not World War I. Anyway, Celeste, what's something you liked? And I forget, Celeste, have you ever been on one of our Young Indiana Jones episodes before?
I have. I've been on.
Oh, okay.
I've had to watch one.
Okay.
Before. And then I've been on a couple where I didn't have time to watch them.
Okay,
so I kind
gotcha.
of bounced out for that part.
Okay.
So one thing that I liked was how the beginning part before the murder was all real chill and slice of life.
Oh, with the jazz music.
That's all it was.
Yeah, like I was like, this is nice. It doesn't have to be,
It wasn't
running
rushed,
from boulders and snakes and
there was
monkey
no action.
brains. Yeah, that's why I said slice of life.
All right.
And you liked that. Interesting.
I did. I liked that because I enjoy seeing what some people would think of as the boring stuff when it comes to things like that, because I feel like it fleshes out the characters more.
And you know what? I would feel the same way if most of the show wasn't just that, but I digress. I did like, I'm a fan of soprano sax, so I like that he...
Really? Have you ever played it?
I have played a soprano sax. I played the Kenny G, like just the tube one. I didn't play a small, like, it looks like a saxophone one. I wasn't very good at it, but I have played one. And so that was cool. And I liked his sort of relationship with the main clarinetist jazz player. I forget his name. Yeah,
but he was a good actor. I liked it.
Yeah, totally. So that's something I liked in terms of this episode. Paul, was something you enjoyed?
I wasn't expecting kind of like this tour guide of jazz music, of the different styles and everything, and they took time to go through that. So that was very cool.
That was
that and the fact that they finally played the John Williams Indiana Jones theme at the very end for like a few seconds.
Gosh, only took them 20 episodes, but okay. So was that also something you didn't like, Paul, that it took him 20 episodes?
Sure, if we wanted to throw that in there, yes. Every episode needs to be bookended with Harrison Ford and have John Williams music throughout the whole thing, yes.
That would have been really nice. I will say that I didn't... Let's get into the things we didn't like so much about this, guys. And maybe I missed something, or you guys interpret it differently. But when he goes up and plays at that frat house or whatever it is, that party where the people are doing it's like a da 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 da.
It's the barbershop quartet.
Hello, barbershop. Thank you, Celeste. Yes, barbershop, and the trombone player, and he's like he does the super jazz, and he's playing it, and then he goes and plays at the club, and he can't play jazz. It seemed like he was great, and now he's not great. I'm very confused.
No, because he's mirroring what they said about the clarinet player. He wasn't accepted. He was too white to be accepted by the blacks, and too black to be accepted by the whites. And Indiana Jones was in his music.
Oh, but it seemed like he's so much better when he is up there in the barbershop place.
It wasn't in that. It wasn't their style.
All right, I understand it wasn't their style, but in terms of just pure jazz, it seemed like he had it there and then he lost
jazz
it
wasn't
somewhere.
Welcome there.
I don't care about that. I'm just saying the way he played was better there, and then it's like he lost the talent he had by the time he went and played in the club.
I see. He lost his confidence, and therefore
he also had the confidence taken away from him.
Yeah, when they all laughed at
that's a good point too. Well, but then that lady at the end said, "Oh, that's like the best that I've ever heard," and stuff.
No, at that place.
Yeah, in that house.
At the club place.
Yes.
No. Yeah, in that house. But as he's leaving, that one gal's like, "Oh man, I love hearing that." And then the butler guy.
That's why he was able to try to play with the other jazz people.
I think we're in a heated agreement right now, but okay, that's fine.
Okay, sounds wonderful.
So that's something I didn't like. Also didn't like that Keith David was in there for so little. I saw his name in the credits. I'm like, oh, nice. I like Keith David. And then he's just a guy playing at that one club they go to, and then that's it. But
Keith David was in this?
Oh, was he a player?
Yeah, he was. I didn't even notice.
David? He was the. Wow. I think he is a clarinetist or a trumpet player in the one club where they're like, "Oh, this is a blacks only club. We can't have you be here." And he's one of the musicians playing it with. He wasn't Louis Armstrong. He is the other guy.
So, the other guy.
Wow, I completely missed that.
Yeah, because they didn't give him more to do. I don't know what you do with getting Keith David, but whatever. Anyway, I'm going off way too much. Celeste, what's something you didn't like about this slice of life of Indy?
I didn't like that the murder mystery had so very little to do with the first half.
Yeah, it seemed very tacked on.
It didn't make sense. Like, there was some very vague leading up to it, but there wasn't enough for it to feel cohesive to me.
Yeah.
It felt like,
absolutely.
You know what? Let's create an episode. Oh, it's not long enough. All right, let's put in a lot of jazz music. Oh, and it's still not long enough. All right, let's create a mystery like okay, let's put it sprinkle it throughout. No, we don't have time for that. Let's put it at the end here.
Yeah, that's really what it felt like. And then because I enjoy a good mystery.
Yes.
As a result of the fact that it hadn't been sprinkled throughout, it felt rushed.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. That was my tragic maker, was the mystery. I love a good mystery, and this wasn't a good mystery. It was unsolved, and it was very
Did any of you think it was the new wife that did it?
I thought it was the girl who left her earring.
That was the new wife. That was the new wife.
No, that's not the new wife. That was like the waitress at that was like, hey, Indy, if you ask me out, I'd say yes. You know, that whole thing.
I thought that was
she
the
was
widowed
at the
wife.
beginning
Okay, my bad.
No, at least no.
They resembled
she's
each
another
other.
waitress with Indy at the beginning.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so I thought it was her. So
so there's too many loose ends. It wasn't a good solved mystery.
Kind of going off of what you guys all said, mine is just the pacing of it was bad.
Yeah.
It was the pacing was so bad. It was really slow, and then I don't know. It wasn't my favorite.
Yeah. And I don't know why they brought Ernest Hemingway back. It's like,
he didn't fit in. I like Jay Underwood, and man, I want to like his characters, but he's kind of a jerk in this. And and he also took the Lord's name in vain, and like, this is a family-friendly show. It's like, what's going on here? So, way to go, Jay Underwood. You totally messed it up.
Jeez, Bug.
Yeah.
Why don't you go learn how to fly, kid? You're not quite human. That's why you can't fly. Anyway, I'm just trying to work out.
I'm trying to come up with a Human Torch one, but oh well. I guess I flamed out of that one.
All right, guys. Well, we don't have a classic nostalgic tragic range for this, but given this episode that we watched of Young Indiana Jones, would you want to continue watching based on your watch through of this episode? Caleb, what say you? Would you want to keep watching the show or go back and watch more?
No.
Nope. Yeah.
No. If the pacing was this bad and the only one that had Harrison Ford in it, no, I'm not interested.
Yeah. All right. How about you, Celeste?
I'm going to say no.
No. Yeah. Paul, how about you?
I enjoyed the like I said, the walk through the jazz, and boy, if this was the only one I saw, I would want to watch more. Maybe it would get better, and like Harrison Ford would have more of a role, but then I'd be disappointed.
Yeah.
So, but based on what I have seen going forward, I want to finish this up. I want to watch the whole thing.
Of course. Real quick, did the jazz seem really fast to any of you? Like they just were just going really fast?
Tempo. The blues was more slow. Is that what you're talking about?
Even the blues was really fast.
Were you watching on 2x speed again?
1.5x.
Oh, that's
why. That must have been why then. Well, they should have slowed it down for me to make it work. Do this for me, Indiana Jones. For me, it's the same. The only reason I would continue watching is because we're doing this for the show. I wouldn't watch it on my own otherwise. So this episode would not be rated very highly for the Retro Rewind podcast. But thank you so much, Caleb. Thank you so much, Celeste. And for also for me and Paul, we bid you all a whoop-paw.